The debate is about how to deal with migrants at the EU borders and it continues. The EU Commission had proposed exceptions for several countries, but Poland raised unacceptable requests for changes. Poland is blocking the EU negotiations on exceptional rules for dealing with migrants at the EU borders with Belarus. At a meeting of EU ambassadors last week, the country demanded changes that were unacceptable for other states, as several diplomats told the German press agency. Among them was the demand to completely suspend the examination of asylum applications at the border with Belarus. Specifically, the negotiations are about exceptions for Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland to the protection rights of migrants, which the EU Commission proposed in December. At that time, the three countries were under enormous pressure because many migrants tried to get to the EU via Belarus. The EU accuses the authoritarian Belarusian ruler Alexander Lukashenko of having flown people from crisis regions to Minsk in order to then smuggle them into the EU. After initially rejecting the proposal, Poland cooperated constructively in the negotiations in the working group, according to several diplomats. But at a meeting of the EU ambassadors, Warsaw then put forward unacceptable requests for changes. Among them, as I said, was the demand not to have to work with the UN Refugee Agency, as a diplomat said. Another EU diplomat stressed that the compromise proposal does not meet Polish demands. However, because it is acceptable to Lithuania and Latvia, Warsaw does not want to block it. However, other diplomats indicated that Poland did not want to apply the rules in this case. But then, the whole thing makes no sense, since the rules were made for the country. The French presidency now has two options, it said. They could narrow the scope of the proposal to Lithuania and Latvia, or drop the dossier altogether. The EU Commission's proposal provides, among other things, that the authorities in the border regions have much longer to register asylum applications. In addition, people seeking protection should only be registered at certain border crossings. The asylum process should therefore last up to 16 weeks. That could mean that people are not allowed to leave the reception centers near the border until then. In addition, the EU Commission wanted to allow simpler and faster deportation after rejected applications for protection. The fundamental rights of those seeking protection should be fully respected. In recent months, Poland in particular has been accused of forcing migrants back to Belarus, in part in violation of international law. After the attacks in the second half of 2020, a new anti-terrorist agenda was presented in the EU. There is now an agreement on one of the core projects. For a more efficient fight against terrorism and serious crime, representatives of the European Parliament and the governments of the EU states have agreed on a plan to strengthen the European Police Authority, Europol. The agreement reached on Tuesday provides for Europol to be able to work more closely with online services and third countries. In addition, the authority based in The Hague in the Netherlands is to be given clear competencies in the analysis of extensive and complex data sets and serve as an innovation driver in the field of criminal prosecution. Europol needs modern means to support the police in their investigations, commented EU Interior Commissioner Ylva Johansson in the evening. The agreed stronger mandate reaffirms the agency's role as a global pioneer in developing new technologies for law enforcement, working with private companies to prevent and investigate crime, and protecting fundamental rights such as the protection of personal data. According to Europol, it has more than 1,000 employees who support the member states in combating serious forms of international crime and terrorism. Its tasks include assessing the threat situation in the area of serious and organized crime and preparing status reports on terrorism. The domestic policy spokesman for the CDU-CSU group in the European Parliament pointed out that terrorist groups and criminal networks operate digitally and globally today. Law enforcement agencies must be able to counter these machinations with effective instruments, said Lena Dupont from the CDU. The exchange of information and the delivery of data from the member states are a prerequisite for it. In order for the agreement to strengthen Europol to be implemented, it still has to be formally confirmed by the EU Council of Ministers and the European Parliament. The EU Commission's first proposal for an extended mandate was presented in December 2020. At that time, Europe had just been shaken again by a series of Islamist attacks. In Dresden, on October 4th in 2020, a Syrian man classified as a threat killed a man with a knife and seriously injured another man. Also in October 2020, near Paris, a teacher was beheaded by a suspected Islamist, and in Nice, 3 people were killed by another violent criminal in a church. In early November, a supporter of the terrorist organization Islamic State shot dead 4 people and injured more than 20 others in Vienna. And we're staying in Vienna for the moment. The Austrian ex-vice-chancellor is under pressure. Strache has to answer for bribery in another procedure. If convicted, the politician faces up to 5 years in prison. Austria's former vice-chancellor Heinz-Christian Strache has been charged with corruption in another case. An entrepreneur granted the right-wing politician advantages and donated money to an association that is close to the FPÖ, the public prosecutor's office in Vienna said on Tuesday. In return, during Strache's tenure from 2017 to 19, he received a position on the supervisory board of the state motorway operator Asfinag. Both face up to 5 years in prison if found guilty. Strache was sentenced to 15 months suspended sentence in October 2021 for bribery. The court found it proven that he helped the owner of a private clinic to bring about a beneficial change in the law. In return, donations are said to have flowed to the FPÖ, of which Strache was chairman at the time. The verdict is not yet legally binding. The public prosecutor's office has not yet announced details of the new facility. However, it is known from the Ibiza Investigative Committee in Parliament that the real estate entrepreneur donated 10,000 euros to the FPÖ-affiliated association before the 2017 election. After he became a member of the supervisory board, another 10,000 euros flowed in. According to information from the German press agency, the indictment also relates to an invitation to Dubai, which Strache did not accept. The ex-vice-chancellor told the APA news agency that he would refute the allegations in court. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.